Now is the time. Number 1 Jeff D'Ambrosio Destination Downingtown. Up to $20,000 off select Jeeps. Payments as low as $159 per month and up to $12,000 off new Ram trucks. Jeff is the number 1 Jeep and Ram dealer in the tri-state because he beats the competitor prices every day. Hurry into number 1 Jeff D'Ambrosio Destination Downingtown 24/7 at gojeffauto.com. Nobody beats our deals. Jeep Adventure Days, 10 days only.
Up to $20,000 off 24 Wrangler Rubicon 4xe, stock number 907, or 24 Grand Cherokee 4xe, stock number 473. $159 per month, 24 Compass, 27-month lease with $5,995 down cash trade. 10,000 miles per year, tax and tags additional. All offers include all rebates and incentives with approved credit.
I don't like onions. I'm doing paleo. Do they have gluten-free bagels? You can't juggle every food request for a work event, or can you? EasyCater is the all-in-one tech platform that makes it easy to get restaurant catering for work, with options for any group size, taste, dietary preference, or budget. EasyCater saves your favorite restaurants and orders, which makes reordering a snap. Need to modify an order? No problem. So when it comes to food for work, make it easy on yourself with EasyCater. Start your order at easycater.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So you've got an oil change coming up. You can go farther and save on full synthetic with our oil change special. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Valvoline Advanced Full Synthetic with an STP Extended Life oil filter for just $35.99. Get the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Your home for Villanova basketball is WDAS and WD273D, Fox Sports Radio, Philadelphia.
And a 5 o'clock hour underway. Let's go. Of course, we opened up talking Phillies with talking Eagles with Mark Henry Jr. That was a good conversation. You can find all of our podcasts at foxphlgambler.com. The Eagles conversation will roll on. Definitely will be talking some Monday Night Football and a few odds and ends from the weekend that was and all things sports a little bit later in this hour. Now, let's go ahead and shift gears. And we are fifth gear wide open. Talking about your team, your town, your Philadelphia Phillies. The NL East champions wrapping up a regular season. 95 wins, I believe, was the total, Luke? 95? 95? Yes, yeah, so well over the number as far as wins on the season. Nice work by the Phillies there. Of course, did not get the overall 1 seed. That stings a little bit from yours truly because I did have a plus 155 wager that, not to say I was spending the money already, but definitely did not think I was going to lose that bet, but got to give credit where credit is due. And of course, realize that needs to come into the handicap. And when you bet those season-long commitments, you just don't know what type of vibe you're going to get going into those games, importance, all that and more. And I think I was a little bit on that bad end there as far as that wager is concerned. But still, a loss is a loss, so we chalk that up as an LOL. On to the next. And joining us right now on the Gambler Hotline, he covers the Phillies for us. It's Red October, ladies and gentlemen. Not just yet, it's September 30th, but we are here. And the Phillies are in the playoffs. Who will they be playing? We're still trying to figure out what's happening right now as far as the Braves and Mets. Luke's joining us here. And just to catch the people up, there's a doubleheader being played in Atlanta as we speak. Game 1 was insane. The Mets were down 3-0 into the 8th. The 7th. They take a 6-3 lead. Atlanta comes up in the bottom of the 8th. Ozzie Albies hits a bases clearing double. Atlanta takes a 1-run lead into the 9th. Francisco Lindor goes yard, 2-run bomb to take a 1-run lead in the top of the 9th for the Mets. And that is how game 1 ended. I did see a stat. Literally, it's never happened this year by the Mets. They think they were 0-47, trailing by 3 runs heading into the the Mets entered today 0-47, trailing by 3 runs in the 8th, and they ended up winning in that game that they had to have. So the Mets are in the playoffs. Will the Braves be joining them? I assumed that was the case, but I don't know now. You are looking at a team in Atlanta right now, kind of shell-shocked after what just took place in that game one, losing the way they did. So talk a little bit more about what's on tap for the Phillies coming up next. Of course, all things MLB playoffs. But Luke, let's start with that game one. Pretty damn cool to see how that one played out.
Yeah, I mean that was unbelievable. If you like baseball and not just the Phillies, I really hope you were watching that game because that was just
crazy.
I mean that was one of the best baseball games of the entire season.
Absolutely.
Coming down to game 160, I guess you could call it one, but it feels like game 163 at this point. Obviously, with the hurricane hitting last week. This doubleheader was supposed to never happen. These two games got canceled on, I believe, Tuesday and Wednesday. So then everything had to get pushed back, and just utter chaos today, which really for the Phillies, that's sort of in their favor, I guess. It's more in the favor of the Brewers and the Padres, I would say. These two teams just beating up on each other today. Now, obviously, no Chris Sale tonight. Got scratched after the Braves lost with back spasms. He has not pitched now since September 19th. It's been over 2 weeks since he's pitched. Listen, they haven't said if he would even be ready to go for tomorrow. They're treating this as day to day. If the Braves won tonight, I would be absolutely shocked if he didn't go tomorrow. But it seems like this is a little more serious than just sort of just throwing him out there. I think if it wasn't serious, he would have been out there tonight. And I will say this could be the situation of knowing the Mets aren't throwing any of their good pitchers tonight and hoping the Braves can really beat up on that staff that's not really going to have their best arms out there tonight and hope to get a win without throwing one of your better arms. But I don't know, man. That's a ballsy move because this Braves team has to win this game that's going on right now. I will say the Mets arm that started, I believe, has an ERA over 11 this year. So not their best arms as I think everybody predicted, right? I think the most likely outcome really before today was the split because whoever won game one was never really going to have their best arms out there tonight. Because now the Mets will most likely have to fly to either Milwaukee or San Diego. The matchups aren't yet set. It basically depends on tonight. So if the Braves win game two, the Braves would be the 5 seed and the Mets would be the 6 seed. So if the Braves win tonight, the Mets would play Milwaukee. But if the Mets swept, the Mets would be the 5 seed and they would go to San Diego, and the Arizona Diamondbacks would sneak in as the 6 seed and they would play the Brewers. So just absolute chaos, and I am very happy that the Phillies are not involved.
Amen to that. Now, Clay Holmes is getting the start here for Atlanta. He has struck out 4 out of the first 5 batters he's faced for the Mets here. I hope you be on the under on this game. I actually did not get a look. Joe Tanzi did text us and said the Braves were minus 550 to win this game, which is just insane. You got to love it, though, from the standpoint of Manfred's perspective, and I don't really have to say that often, but here we are. Not even the final day of regular season. It's essentially an added day, and you're getting this type of drama. I hope people are watching because that was pretty damn cool in that first game. And here we are, game 2. We'll see. As Luke pointed out, Phillies are holding the 2 spot. They will play the winner of the Brew Crew and the 6 seed. So once again, if the Braves, which we believe they will do, they will win this game, they will split. And that means they're going to slide into the 5 and the Mets will be in the 6.
So there is no possible scenario where the Phillies would play the Braves in the first round, at least.
Okay.
In the first round. So the issue with the Braves is this is how the whole tiebreaker thing ends up. If the Braves get in, they get the 5 seed. There's no scenario where the Braves get the 6 seed.
Okay.
They will immediately get the 5 seed. So if the Braves get in, they go to San Diego. But there is a chance that we would play the Mets. So our 3 possible opponents right now are the Milwaukee Brewers, the New York Mets, and the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Feel pretty good about that, right? You know where we're at. It's playoff ball, right? It's playoff ball. Citizens Bank Park. That atmosphere plays into a lot from my handicap perspective. They talk about it. It's real. Look, I will give all the respect in the world to the Brewers. They've had a pretty good season, no doubt about it, back-to-back Central champions. But I think that the Phillies will pass them. And as far as the Mets are concerned, they're happy to be in. This is a team that nobody had making the playoffs. They were just seeking for anything positive in the middle of the season. So it's been a hell of a run for them. But again, pitching doesn't really worry me too much. The Diamondbacks, though, and this is a team that right now are on the outside looking in. Why am I still looking at them as like their kryptonite? Where do you stand on those three matchups?
Yeah, so honestly, it sounds weird, but I think the best matchup for the Phillies might actually be the Brewers, the team who won the NL Central. Listen, I absolutely despise the New York Mets, but they're a hot baseball team.
True.
They have one of the best records, if not the best record in the league since the All-Star break. They just get out there and they just find ways to win. I mean, obviously, if you watch today, you saw that the huge home run from Francisco Lindor. And I mean, he trotted around the bases like nothing happened, man.
Mm-hmm.
They have a little bit to them. If the Phillies got matched up with the Mets in a playoff series, I really think the Phillies would win. I just think October baseball is different. I think this Phillies team knows it, and that Mets team doesn't. So I wouldn't be necessarily worried. But I will say I don't love the Phillies matchup against the Mets. As far as the Diamondbacks, I think we're a way better team than the Diamondbacks. I just still think last year will linger. I don't want to go to Chase Field. There's not a stadium in the four major sports that I hate more than Chase Field. It just feels like the vibes are down whenever the Phillies go out there, if it's the regular season or if it's the playoffs. And as far as the Brewers, I think we can beat up on that team pretty good. I think they have a few good starting pitchers, but their pitching staff doesn't really scream right at me. So I think the Phillies are in a pretty good spot because I'm happy they avoided San Diego. I think that's a pretty awesome team right now. They have some good arms. They have a good bullpen. So I think the Phillies are really in a good spot here.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks fell apart specifically really in September. They finished the season 88-73, and they ended up losing 5 out of their last 6 games. So this team really has been struggling as of late. But again, postseason, and you get that first wild card matchup in there, get the juices going. It's a different monster. But from where I saw the full playoffs from last year, and you could see like, okay, Phillies, watch out. That's a hot team. And I know our biases were kicking in a little bit with that prediction, but it was there. It was real. You could look at some of the other teams from last year as well. I'm not really fearing anything at this point in time from the standpoint of who they're going to go up against in that first division matchup. Again, between those 3 teams. And
the big thing for the Phillies too, that hasn't really been there years past, is now they get to completely reset their rotation. So the years past, they've had to go Wheeler Nola in the wild card round, and Rangers been out there for the NLDS first game every year. Now, first game NLDS, you get Zach Wheeler out there. Then you go Aaron Nola, potentially Sanchez, but I do think it is going to be Nola still. And then you have Sanchez out there for a potential game 3. I think being able to reset your rotation is big because you obviously want your best arms out there for the first games. So now, and that's really the situation now for the Braves, man. If they win tonight, they have no Schwellenbach for the wild card series. You obviously know that Sale is a little banged up. So, I mean, they could have to roll a rotation out there of the Brewers against basically, I mean, it would be a mix of maybe Ronaldo Lopez and maybe Charlie Morton would have to throw a game too. It's just like it's not an ideal situation for this Braves team right now, especially obviously if there's no Chris Sale. So the Phillies rotation, I think, is really the big winners from the number 2 seed right now.
Yeah, and we got the wild card all start tomorrow. It's just crazy. So Tuesday, October 1st, we got four games, and they all go back to back. There's no rest for the wicked. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, for I think every one of these teams. Yeah, and game one tomorrow.
Some of those matchups.
Yeah, tomorrow, Detroit and Houston, game one. Nobody hotter than the Detroit Tigers. That's for damn sure. 2:32 first pitch there. ABC. I don't remember ABC having playoff games, right? Wasn't it always TNT? Was the extra TBS? ABC's got this one.
Yeah, I think they do some wild card stuff. I think mainly once you get to the division series, it's mainly just Fox and TBS.
Yeah.
But that first game tomorrow really is going to be awesome. You have the Astros, who once again we all know it's the Houston Astros.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get to October, they're just one of the best teams and one of the biggest threats. But then you also have this sneaky little Tigers team, who by any means really I don't think is that great of a baseball team.
Yeah.
But they have the Triple Crown winner going out tomorrow for Tariq Skubal out there. So it's going to be awesome. That's a game where I was talking with Mark Henry Jr. about this. That is a first five under to me. Two really, really awesome arms versus one offense who isn't that great in Detroit. And then you look at Houston. I don't believe they'll have Jordan tomorrow yet. So he is still out, I believe. So that is screaming an under for me. Maybe the entire game. That's probably a pretty low number. I believe it's at, oh my God, yeah. Right now it's at like 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a pretty low one there. I would look at the first five under there. But a lot of good matchups because then you go out to Kansas City. You have Reagans versus Burns. There's some really awesome American League matchups tomorrow. And it's funny because you look at these National League matchups and it's basically the complete opposite. The Brewers will have Peralta out there, I believe. But I don't think the Padres have named their game on starter yet. And then you don't really know what of this Mets, Diamondbacks, Braves thing will happen. So it's going to be a weird day.
Oh, absolutely. And we got Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 3 days of nonstop action for playoff baseball. So we are here front and center, as Luke pointed out, with that game one matchup between the Tigers and the Astros. Valdez on the mound for the Astros. I think he's pitched a little bit better as of late, but he went through a tough stretch this year where people are just smashing him. So I'm actually looking at Detroit continue to ride that momentum. But you and I were talking via socials yesterday, Twitter, and I put the full odds up from DraftKings Sportsbook as far as futures are concerned. And unfortunately, the first team that popped out to me was the value on the Houston Astros. I think they were at plus 900. I thought that was a decent shot to take there with the Houston Astros, with what we know year after year, making it to the ALCS, so on and so forth. And also Cleveland. I think Cleveland is one of those teams that they've proven me not wrong. I thought that they were good. Yeah, they proved me wrong. They did. Simple as that. I didn't think that they were going to continue to have the offense that they did, that was way above their means for the first half. And they did. And they held on. They had the bullseye on their back. And I got to tip my cap to Cleveland. They are for real. I think the American League is wide open. I think it would not shock me if the Yankees slugged their way to a World Series, but at plus 425, I didn't see much value or a reason to take a shot there. Good luck if that's your team, though. But I like the Guardians at that number. They were plus 1050. Astros were plus 900. They had my attention. You have to have a $5 play on the Tigers because you kill yourself if this team makes a run. This is the hottest team in baseball. They have a great starting pitcher, an ace, a true ace. Anything is possible. And this team 2 weeks ago was 100-1 to win the World Series. Now down to 28-1. Just throw a Wawa shorty on it. All right. That's what you had to have. Yeah. Just in case.
Coffee.
That's it. That's it.
One coffee. You're good.
That's it.
Just a quick update. The Braves did go up 1-0.
Yep.
And at one point they were a minus 900 favorite of 1-0. They're now down to minus 670.
I'm telling you, I can see the Mets winning this game. All the Braves are on the top step. There is definitely some
plus 430.
This is some emotional baseball going on. You know darn well. See, I just think they're going to pull everybody. Francisco Lindor said he was tired in between the games. It's like, yeah, I just think the Mets are going to wave the white flag. However, the Braves look tight. They definitely look tight, but they are up 1-0 right now. All right, Luke, great stuff. It's your season, brother. Red October is here. We're going to be doing a lot here in the Daily Ticket. We're going to be live. I'm actually going game 2. Got my tickets for Sunday.
I never got an email.
Huh?
Not a single email.
My friend Colin Good. Shout out to Colin Good. And no Eagles game, which is great. So
Thank God.
yeah, so that's going to be fun. But we get the party started on Saturday, correct?
Yes, sir. So we're Saturday and then Sunday. And then after that, I believe game 3 is Tuesday. But the first 2 home games are Saturday and Sunday. No times announced yet. But depending on the opponent, I think they'll knock the Phillies up to later in the day.
Yeah.
So they'll probably be, I would say, maybe around like a 6-something start.
Yeah, I don't think we're 1 o'clocks. Not these days.
No, not at all. That's got the Detroit Tigers written all over.
You're damn right it does. Luke, fantastic stuff, man. I look forward to covering hopefully a long postseason run by our Phillies, man. Great season as always. Give Luke a follow, Arcaini Luke. Read him at crossingbroad.com, doing a bang-up job over there. And, of course, hear him right here on The Gambler as our Phillies insider. Luke, enjoy the rest of your day. We'll catch up tomorrow, sir.
Sir, Sean, thank you.
My man, there he is. Once again, Luke Arcaini on The Gambler hotline. Yeah. Baseball season, boys. It's here. Let's go. And it's fun. It's fun. To me, I think this year is more open than in previous years. And to a point, because, look, nobody had the Diamondbacks making a run. And I guess maybe 2 years before that, the Phillies making the World Series. Sure, there were some people saying that. Of course, locally, nobody's denying that. But nationally, I don't think a lot of people were really building up the Phillies to make a run to the World Series. They did. I think if I'm not mistaken, everybody loved the Braves that year, and rightfully so. They had an unbelievable season, roster, so on and so forth. But it's a different monster, different animal in postseason. And Citizens Bank Park, it comes with the territory, right? Like Mark Henry Jr. hops on the show earlier today, and he says nobody runs somebody out of town faster than we do here in Philadelphia. I think there are cases for different cities, but across the board, I would say that there are times that I think the fans have a little bit too much of an influence on some of these teams. It'd be in your best interest to, probably not listen or pay attention to what's being said. Some coaches like to do that. Some general managers like to do that, and whatever. But ultimately, there's a like a kind of a mixture on this, right? Where, of course, you got to take the good with the bad, and that is the bad, but the good. Citizens Bank Park, that playoff atmosphere, it might be the best in the city, if we're honest, right? Like, what are you going to tell me? To link a playoff game at the link is better than that? I can't agree to that. I think the link atmosphere is awesome, but I wouldn't say it's like, oof, you're driving in, the heartbeat's beating faster. Like, I don't think it's that for the opposing teams. Baseball, yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. And we haven't seen Flyers hockey play in playoffs in a long damn time, so we're not going to count that. And, of course, we can go down the list with the Sixers and all that, but who knows? Anyways, Citizens Bank Park's going to be electric. Can't wait to be down there for game 2. But love to get your thoughts. Where do you find value on the card? Anybody from the American League standing out over others? Once again, get involved in the conversation at Fox PHL Gambler, at Fox PHL Gambler. And you can personally find me at Sean_Brace. As always, love to hear your thoughts on all things Philly sports or anything we discuss here on The Gambler. All right, coming up, jam-packed day of programming for us here on The Gambler, 6 p.m. It's the All-Pro Philly Players Show featuring Jeremiah Trotter Jr. this evening, live from Chickies and Pete's in Marlton. Gerald Colton, once again, steering the ship and co-hosting Dave Spadero, the Eagles insider himself. All live for you out there at Chickies and Pete's in Marlton. Following that tremendous show, we got The Blind Side featuring Trey Thomas and Todd Harriman. So a great 2.5 hours of action right here on The Gambler every Monday night. Damn right. So if you're in the Jersey area, trust me, that's when we do stuff in Philly, I hear it all the time. People in Jersey can't get there. When we do stuff in Jersey, it's tough. I can't get there. I'm here in Bala Kenwood. By the time I get there, we'll be cleaning up. If you're in Jersey, come on, man. Take advantage of that. Please show some love. Get on out there. everybody just signs autographs, hangs out, talks to you during breaks. Trey's tremendous. Of course, Todd as well. It's a great listen and a fun 2.5 hours on a Monday night. Oh, by the way, we do have 2 Monday Night Football games, and that's what we're going to hit on the other side. Once again, Monday Night Football with 2 games. Hey, it's here. I like it. Bottom line is I am not the biggest Monday Night Football guy as far as 2 games, but it's Monday night, and you're giving me 2 games. I'm watching. I'm wagering. I'm trying to find some plays. Saquon Barkley cost me yesterday. I'll tell you more about that heartbreaking defeat I took, but it was there. It was there. Nick Sirianni decides to give him 10 carries. What am I supposed to do with that? If he had one more carry, I think he goes over the number that I needed him to get to. I do love 1 out of the 2 games tonight. Go into detail on that one. I'll give you a hint. It's Seattle and Detroit. Also, quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. Oh, Lord. Snoop! Save the day for the Dolphins. We'll talk a little bit more about that matchup as well on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Daily Ticket rolling on 5 o'clock hour. More after this.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
If you're just heading out, nothing too terrible for the Monday drive home. Just some volume delays on the Schuylkill eastbound heavy Blue Route to Belmont, and Girard to South, westbound Jan University to Vine, and City to Belmont. The Vine Expressway westbound Bagdip Parkway to the Schuylkill, eastbound heavy Schuylkill to 95. 95 northbound stop go Allegheny up to Bridge, southbound so Ridley Park to 320. Blue Route northbound stacked up 95 past McDade, and southbound delays Broomall to Media Swarthmore. 42 south heavy 130 to Creek Road. Ira Totella total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Allstate.
Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Hurry in for historical savings at number 1 Jeff D'Ambrosio Destination Downingtown with up to $20,000 off Jeeps. Jeff has over 350 Jeeps in stock. Payments as low as $159 per month, up to $12,000 off new 2025 Ram trucks. The biggest selection, faster, easy financing. Now is the time. Number 1 Jeff D'Ambrosio Destination Downingtown. Up to $20,000 off select Jeeps. Payments as low as $159 per month and up to $12,000 off new Ram trucks. Jeff is the number 1 Jeep and Ram dealer in the tri-state because he beats the competitor prices every day. Hurry into number 1 Jeff D'Ambrosio Destination Downingtown 24/7 at gojeffauto.com. Nobody beats our deals. Jeep Adventure Days, 10 days only.
Up to $20,000 off 24 Wrangler Rubicon 4xe, stock number 907, or 24 Grand Cherokee 4xe, stock number 473. $159 per month, 24 Compass, 27-month lease with $5,995 down cash trade. 10,000 miles per year, tax and tags additional. All offers include all rebates and incentives with approved credit.
What's the best place to reach new customers for your business? Wherever they are. And that's exactly where you can be with iHeartMedia. We talk to our listeners everywhere, from the car to the gym to the kitchen. Your next customer is listening. And not only can we get your message to your audience, we can also show you how it's working in real time. That goes for broad brand messaging and targeted hyperlocal influencer campaigns alike. Start growing your business today. Dial pound 250 and say great results. That's pound 250, say great results.
This season on the new podcast, Rip Current, the story of the only 2 women who tried to assassinate an American president.
A woman fired a shot at President Ford in San Francisco this afternoon.
One was a protege of Charles Manson.
26-year-old Lynette Fromm, nicknamed Squeaky.
The other, a middle-aged housewife undercover for the FBI.
Identified by police as Sarah Jean Moore.
Listen to Rip Current on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Rip Current and start listening.
Sure, The Hollywood Reporter makes it easy to stay on top of news about film, TV, fashion, culture, and the business of Hollywood. But to make it even easier, head to thr.com and subscribe to our newsletters like Feinberg Forecast and be in the know on the latest about award season. Or sign up for Today in Entertainment for a good sense of what's happening in the industry. Our THR Charts newsletter highlights what content is trending and worth watching and where to find it. Head to thr.com for all of those and more, and subscribe to our newsletters today.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check that your seats aren't in the visitor section first before buying tickets.
I'm so excited for this game. I can't believe you got us tickets.
Me too. Wait,
Are we on the wrong side?
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
This is going to be a long game.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No, call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com.
I'm Carrie Champion, and this is season 4 of Naked Sports. Up first, I explore the making of a rivalry. Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese.
Every great player needs a foil.
People are talking about women's basketball just because of one single game. I just come here to play basketball every single day.
Clark and Reese have changed the way we consume women's sports. Listen to The Making of a Rivalry, Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search The Making of a Rivalry, Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, and start listening.
Oh, the WNBA, God bless them. I was just laughing about that promo there for iHeartRadio. A making of a rivalry. Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. Look, I talked about this last week, if I could, real fast, as far as with the WNBA stuff. And everybody's all been out of shape about a question from Christine Brennan. And she's been in the news forever. Like, she's had bad takes before. I was ripping on her one time. She said something dumb about college football. But to sit there and say, and the issue that I had was the Players Association for WNBA comes out and says, almost like they're in the reporter's head, and this is why you asked that question, and we know it, and you're hey, come on, man. That is such a slippery slope to sit there and say, oh, I know why. It's one thing for a person to have that take on social media, a radio host to bring that up. It's another to have a statement released by the Players Association singling out a reporter like that over a question that you don't like. That's the next level, and I can't get there with you. And I thought that they looked really bad, but at the end of the day, and the final thought here is I'll say this: WNBA they're in control at this point in time. They can do whatever they want, so they can say we want the league covered like this, and if you don't want to cover it, don't cover it, because they weren't being covered for 20 plus years. And if you're not going to do it their way or the right way, which is a slippery slope, yes, I understand it. So good on them. Whatever you want to do that you think is better for your league. I don't agree with it, but it's something that they're going to go about their way. So I tip my cap to them on that one. Good luck. We'll see how it plays out. I didn't watch any games over the weekend. Did not. I know that we got some really good teams in there. Vegas is playing great matchups. I'm sure I'll watch something over the weekend, but was totally consumed this weekend, of course, by football. So let's go ahead and start with what took place in college football on Saturday, then we'll close up shop on Sunday, and we'll get into 2 Monday Night Football games tonight. First and foremost, Alabama and Georgia, instant classic. 2 best teams in college football, could very well be. The beauty is, don't know if you guys know this, but we don't have to crown a champion on September 30th. We don't have to give the Heisman Trophy out on September 30th. Hell, you don't even have to tell me who the 12 teams are in the playoffs on September 30th. We got a long way to go. And I know everybody loves to be the prognosticators and, the magic ball readers. And, of course, we all back it up with our wagers, but we got a lot of football to be played and great matchups like Georgia, Tennessee. You look at some of those big name programs that are on, front and center for you right now. Will they be in 2 weeks? Because all it takes is 1 to 2 losses. The next thing you know, they could be missing out in the playoffs. Is there a Cinderella that is coming out of nowhere? But the big upset from this weekend that got everybody's attention, of course, was Ole Miss. That was a big time win by Kentucky there. Can't really say that I had too much confidence in Ole Miss. I just feel like a lot of these teams are going to slip up and lose, as they often do. And we will be sitting there with Alabama and Georgia and the same old song and dance from these teams that we continue to see over the past few years. But from the standpoint of what we saw on Saturday, of course, top dog of them all was that Alabama and Georgia game, 41-34 final score, of course, way over the total. And Bama ends up covering as a 2-point underdog at home, winning outright 41-34. Great game. Hell of a comeback by Georgia, and I think they deserve a ton of credit. Alabama, though, just was ready to go from the jump, and that was the difference in the game. I mean, 28-0. Of course, I don't have to tell you anything different other than that, but Georgia does get a lot of credit in my mind for bouncing back and making it a ball game. Hell, getting the lead with 6 minutes left. I still can't believe they found a way to take that lead. But Alabama ends up coming away with that dub, led by Jalen Milroe, who, if you made me make a pick right now as far as the Heisman Trophy is concerned, again, on September 30th, I think Jalen Milroe wins. I think he is front center top dog for Heisman Trophy voters. He did something that has never been done before in the history of college football in that game, on the biggest stage against Georgia in a game that they won as an underdog. So it was something along the lines of over 300 yards passing, 100 yards running, 2 touchdowns, and a couple touchdowns in the air, something that statistically we have never seen in the history of college football. So I would go with him above all. Travis Hunter is number 2, and Travis Hunter is number 2. But this is an interesting question because we got to talk a little bit about the strength of schedule when it comes to these things, and be fair and honest about it as well. Be honest, not fair, but be honest about it, because I think if this is the case, like moving forward, if you're not in these 2 mega conferences, the Big Ten or the SEC, good luck. You know, he's in the Big 12. Like they play good teams, but it's not on the same page as far as Jalen Milroe or anybody in the SEC, in my opinion, because of the strength of schedule and the Big Ten as well. I'm not locked and loaded that it has to be a quarterback. No, but if Travis Hunter was doing that at Alabama, at Georgia, he's number 1, hands down. But he's doing it at Colorado, and it's fun to watch, and he's a great player, and he's going to go top 5, which is really interesting too as well, because I've seen people that have covered the game, played the game, say he doesn't look like a wide receiver, and then I've had other people who play the game and cover the game say he doesn't look like a cornerback. So where is he? I know he's a hell of a player. I'd love to have that talent on my team at the next level, but for right here, right now, that was a huge upset win by Colorado, with a lot of eyes watching them going down to UCF and coming away with that victory. And look, I just think that's going to be the issue for Travis Hunter. Will he be a finalist? Absolutely. You can go ahead and cement him up there in New York, but I just don't think he's going to have what it takes. And especially the fact that Colorado will lose football games over the next 6-7 weeks. And that's going to be something, again, that comes to the strength of schedule. That comes back to these big teams in the SEC, in the Big Ten, that are at the top of the list, that are undefeated, that are playing those positions like quarterback or whatever it may be, and continuing to win big games. Travis is a hell of a talent. We'll see what happens. He's a finalist. He'll be in New York. We'll see what happens as far as over these next few weeks and who's got an opportunity. I think Nico is being slept on a little bit if they open it up. And he's got some big primetime matchups against Alabama, against Georgia. If he's able to sling it, sure. I'm not looking at Quinn Ewers anymore. Of course, he's missing time. Arch played okay. I played well. I thought Arch was going to be playing a little bit better. Had 2 interceptions, one that wasn't his fault in that game 1. Mississippi State, they weren't really doing much in the first half. Played well, though. He threw for over 300 yards, a couple touchdowns. The future is bright with Texas, but I don't know if they're not going to hand the ball back to Quinn Ewers. We'll see what happens. And for next week, Texas, don't they have a big game coming up? They got Oklahoma. So that's on 10-12. So they got a little bit of a breather here. And then on 10-12, their next game for Texas against Oklahoma. So that's the rivalry game there. And then they got Georgia. So we'll see what happens as far as who takes over the quarterback spot for Texas. I would assume it will be Quinn Ewers. Like I said, I thought Arch was going to do a little bit more, and I think Sark's safe to hand the ball back to Quinn Ewers, as he said from the beginning. So I got that one wrong. Also, another upset that should catch your attention: Oklahoma State. They went down again. They lost to Kansas State 42-20. Some other surprising stuff at the end of the night. We had a winner in Oregon first half, which was a lot of fun there. And the other one that was really interesting to me from the weekend, Penn State, ho-hum, they didn't cover the number. We were on Illinois catching the 18.5. Just thought that was too many points. It was. Penn State's got a great defense. It's going to be fun. They're going to be a tough matchup if they make the playoffs, but Ohio State started to look like, you know what, this is what everyone was talking about in the offseason with those skill position players. Henderson out of the backfield looked amazing. Will Howard's got just receivers falling out of trees with that program that are just electric. So won't shock me to see Ohio State to do what everybody predicted that they were going to do so far, only 4 weeks into the season. So I'm looking forward to covering all things college football this week with Beef Up Front. A lot to discuss, takeaways from the weekend, all that and more. Ryan Coyle later this week right here on the Daily Ticket. All right, now to the NFL from yesterday. We'll hit on a little bit from the top 5 as far as I'm concerned. And it's hard not to sit here and talk about the injuries at the beginning, specifically with the Kansas City Chiefs. But I think for where I was at last night, and I was expecting Baltimore to do what they did last night. And Buffalo is a tremendous team. They're averaging 37 points per game. And the fact that it was all things Derrick Henry and that Baltimore defense shutting down Buffalo's passing attack. Josh Allen had like 40 yards passing in the first half. They held him to 10 points. Like, yes, it was one of those schedule games. And I said, like, if it's not now, when will it be for Baltimore? That's kind of where I was at. But, man, Lamar played his ass off, 2-time MVP. You see it. And, of course, Derrick Henry being the difference maker for me for Baltimore this year. If Derrick Henry, now hear me out, if Derrick Henry is on last year's Baltimore team and they run the football, they use Derrick Henry in that game against the Kansas City Chiefs, I think that result's probably a little bit different in that game. But it's not just enough to have him on the team. You got to use him as well. And I think Baltimore really is doing that this year. He's got a ton of yards through 4 games. I don't think he did well in one of those 4, if I'm not mistaken. But still, there is a lot to like about Baltimore. I know that they blew the lead against the Raiders and they almost coughed it up against the Cowboys. But you're talking about really good defense. Lamar knows how to get it done in the regular season. He's just missing that postseason success. And if you got a healthy Derrick Henry who looks younger, I don't know what these running backs did in the offseason, but Zeke, Derrick Henry, like these guys look like they found the fountain of youth. And I know it's best shape of my life season, as I saw Joel Embiid say that today. I love it. I lost 20, 25 pounds. I'm in the best shape of my life. Don't we hear that every year around this time? Anyways, I'm not going to talk Sixers just yet. We'll save that for Sean Bernard. But there was a lot to like from the Baltimore game. Other games that had my attention, got it wrong. I was on Green Bay, and it did get a little dicey at the end there, 31-29 final score. But Jordan Love was being asked to do a lot, in my opinion, in his first game back from being hurt. And he was ready. He threw the ball all right, but of course the interceptions are going to cost you. So that was a bad read by me to a point, but I loved the Packers, and unfortunately they ended up losing. So the story really is the Vikings and Sam Darnold throwing 3 touchdown passes. They proved a 4-0. I specifically talked about that division, and I just wasn't sure. I'm not a Darnold guy, and I didn't know what J.J. McCarthy was going to do either. And I assumed he was going to be the guy eventually. And I said, look, watch out for Minnesota, because they had a pretty good roster. They got a good defense. I like their run game when they want to use it. Of course, we know about the wide receivers that they have. If they can get any type of production, and obviously not having your quarterback be a liability or turning the football over, I think that Minnesota could be a team that could, mess with a team potentially winning the division, like the Lions, like the Packers, right? I never thought the Vikings were going to win the damn division. They're 4-0. 4-0 with Sam Darnold. Unbelievable. But the Packers ended up losing that game, and that was frustrating. So Matt LaFleur was my coach of the year for 2 straight weeks, and then now all of a sudden I'm like kind of I'm passing on that take right now as we speak. All right, other games, of course, as I said, the injuries with the Chiefs, Rice, torn ACL. I didn't see it today. I don't know if that's the latest, but it looked like that, and it was unfortunate because it happened on an interception by Mahomes. Mahomes goes to make a tackle. I don't know what he's doing, thinking making a tackle. And he ends up throwing his shoulder into Rice's knee, blows his knee out. He's done. Hopefully the Chiefs aren't able to go out there and get a wide receiver. But is that enough to finally say that they are not going to be winning another Super Bowl? Not yet. Like, I got to see a little bit more for me to put some dirt on the Kansas City Chiefs going back to back to back. The odds are already stacked against them, but like Reed, and they were already having great success in the season. They are undefeated, 4-0. So if they're home, it's a tough place to play. We'll see. But man, losing Rice at this point in time, that's a huge blow, because we talked about his play and how he was really being the number one guy. And I thought last week that not enough people were giving credit to a guy like Kelsey and the other receivers on that team, Worthy, of course, with the speed, because that's, you got to have attention on everybody. And if you're going to pay a lot of attention to Travis Kelsey, maybe that freed Rice up on a few of those grabs, which I do believe it did. Now no Rice. Worthy's going to have to be doing a little bit more here. We'll see what happens. I'm not ready to pour dirt on Travis Kelsey either, but again, Mahomes is the king, so they are 4-0, but how many injuries are going to be too many? That's where I'm at this point in time. All right, Steelers, though, that was a tough loss. That was one of those spreads that kind of was similar to the week before, where they were 1.5, and all of a sudden in a game time, 2.5-point favorites. So I was like, really? Is Justin Fields going to take this team in Indianapolis and beat them? I just felt like it was going to be a Colts win, but it got dicey. And Anthony Richardson leaves the game, and Joe freaking Flacco leads them to a victory, 27-24. That's the story from yesterday. Joe Flacco back in the NFL uniform on the field. And man, it's just pretty cool to see, right? And there's something about how he can read defenses. And I'm not going to sit here and make Joe Flacco out to be, Joe Montana by no means, but the dude is a good quarterback and a good backup quarterback. Let me say that much, because all you need your backup quarterback to do is win you a football game. And of course, Joe Flacco can do that. So nice work there. I thought the Tampa Bay Bucks, they need to be on the list just because of Todd Bowles and defense, the bounce back spot. I think Baker, there's not much difference for me when you talk about what Tampa Bay was last year, right? Like, I still view them in that same lens. I think they might be a little bit better, but they're flawed. They've given up a ton of sacks. Their offensive line isn't all that good. The run game, So, when we start talking about Tampa Bay, they're a better team than the Eagles. That's no ifs, ands, buts about it. But if we're talking about Tampa Bay winning a division, if we're talking about Tampa Bay doing bigger things come playoff time, I'm not really there at this point in time. And finally, number 5 on my list, CJ Stroud in a great game between the Jags and the Texans. And it was one that I had the wrong read on as far as 5.5 was concerned. However, it's one of those that you got to look back on too as well. I didn't play it, but we were definitely discussing it before the game. And our guy Sam, he said this is one of those do or die spots. And 5.5 was too many. He didn't think that they were going to win the game, but it wouldn't be shocked if they did. But just felt like it was going to be a bounce back spot by Jacksonville. And I didn't think Trevor Lawrence played all that well. He had some opportunities to make some big throws. Team across the board, it's bad. And Doug Peterson being pressed right now at the press conference, very awkward. I got this Q&A for you.
Take the headset over just to change this thing up.
For what? I thought he called a great game. We as coaches, we can't go out there and make the plays, right? It's a two-way street. So, you guys can sit here and point the finger all you want, and that's fine. Point it right at me. I can take it.
Yeah, well, players got to make plays. I'm sure that's going to be, that's going to work out real well in the locker room. At the end of the day, though, he is right, but I don't know if you should be saying it as the head coach. But that just tells you what's happening down there. And kind of like, did we go through this with Press Taylor? Man, Press Taylor better buy Doug Peterson a car for Christmas if he hasn't already, because I don't think Press Taylor's wife loves him as much as Doug Peterson does. Let's just say that much. Anyways, those were some of the big ones that stood out to me. There's definitely trouble in Jacksonville, and I would be shocked if Doug Peterson is coaching the team next year. All right. Once again, we are jam-packed today. A lot of fun coming our way starting at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock live for Chickies and Pete's in Marlton. You're going to hear from Gerald Colton and Dave Spadaro, along with Eagles linebacker and special teamer Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I love it. Can't wait to hear him on The Gambler. I'm excited. Did a few shows with his dad. One of my favorite stories was from a Chickies and Pete's in the Northeast. I believe that was not their original location, but all the way up. We did a show, and Trot was hanging out afterwards for an hour signing autographs, right? Awesome dude. People, rolling through with the Axemen jerseys, all that. He's signing all of a sudden. This dude walks in literally with an axe the size of me, like one of those axes that you would pull from a firehouse, right? Like, I got to break down doors and I'm going to save lives. Dude walks in, big guy. And like, you don't know if he's going to be chopping your head off with that. No, he just wanted to get Jeremiah Trotter's autograph on it. It's the most ridiculous thing ever, but that's who we are in Philadelphia. Gotta love it. All right. So Jeremiah Trotter Jr. coming up next, along with Dave Spadaro and Gerald Colton, live from Chickies and Pete's in Marlton, followed by, yes, The Blind Side. You got Trey Thomas and Todd Harrimans. Of course, they're going to be talking all things birds, giving that player's perspective. I'm really intrigued to hear a little bit more about their takeaway from yesterday, because it didn't feel like there was a lot of want from a few of those players. And I don't know if business decision is the right call, but man, that was an ugly way to start. It was just all downhill from there. We made Baker Mayfield look like Joe Montana yesterday. Sad, very sad. Getting the ball out. Got to give credit to Tampa Bay. They had a hell of a game plan. They picked us apart, kept it quick. Baker Mayfield was never in trouble. And the rest is history. 33-16 final score. So you're going to get a lot of Eagles conversation, a lot of NFL conversation over the next 2.5 hours right here on The Gambler. Thank you very much, Mark Henry Jr. and Luke Arcaini. I'll be back tomorrow. Brand new Daily Ticket at 3 o'clock. Everybody, good luck on those plays. Oh, Monday Night Football. I apologize. I love Detroit. I think Detroit gets after Seattle. I think it's a tough environment. Seattle's having some offensive line issues. Gas pedal down. Hutchinson, that defensive line. I love the Lions tonight. Love the Lions. Hopefully that comes to fruition. Talk to you tomorrow, everybody. Don't go anywhere. All Pro Philly Player Show featuring Jeremiah Trotter's next. Peace.
Hello, parents. It is Mr. Jim. And did you know it's time for story time? My podcast